This is the finished Trendy vest by Patternslabco, a structured black pinstriped piece, shown here paired with a pleated skirt. Buying clothing off the rack usually means settling for generic sizing that never quite fits. Sewing your own pieces gives you exact control over the final shape and style. To get started, you will need a medium to heavyweight fabric, like cotton, linen, or a wool blend, along with fusible interfacing and 3 buttons. For tools, make sure you have a home printer to download the pattern, a sewing machine, an iron, and a seam ripper. We focus on a calm, confident approach to sewing. Breaking garment construction into clear, individual steps makes the entire process manageable for any skill level. Understanding how these specific pieces join together allows you to move past the limitations of retail and start building a collection of clothes that you constructed yourself. Step 1 is mapping your body. Use a flexible measuring tape to find the exact circumference of your bust, your waist, and your hips. This data table shows how to translate those measurements into a pattern size. For example, if you have a 36.2-inch bust and a 28.3-inch waist, you will follow the line for a size small. If you simply hit print on a standard digital file, the result is often a confusing web of overlapping cutting lines, representing every possible size at once. To avoid this, open the PDF Layers panel, labeled here as Capas, listing sizes extra small through XXL. Click the eye icons next to each size label to hide every layer that doesn't match your specific measurements. When you look back at the document, you are left with one clean, distinct outline. Isolating that single digital layer eliminates confusion at the cutting table and ensures you start your project with precise dimensions. With your size printed and assembled, lay the paper pattern over your chosen fabric and cut out the individual pieces. Next, we prepare the fusible interfacing. This is the hidden material that provides the rigidity and shape needed for a tailored look. Place the rough, adhesive side of the interfacing against the wrong side of your vest's facing pieces and press down with a hot iron to fuse them. Always test your iron's heat on a scrap piece of fabric before you start to ensure the temperature won't scorch or melt your primary material. This preparation phase takes focus, so feel free to take a break to rest your eyes and hands before moving to the machine. Applying these layers at the start ensures the finished vest maintains its crisp shape and straight lines, preventing the front panels from sagging over time. Move over to your sewing machine and configure it for a standard straight stitch. Take your main fabric pieces and align the right sides together so the raw edges match. Then begin feeding them under the needle. A common issue for new sewers is a seam that begins to unravel the first time the garment is actually worn or washed. To prevent this, you must lock your stitches. Sew forward slightly, then run the machine in reverse over the exact same line. Do this at the beginning and end of every single seam you sew. If you make a mistake and need to start over, use your seam ripper. It is designed to cut through thread and remove stitches without damaging the fabric underneath. The long-term durability of the vest depends on securing these entry and exit points for every seam you sew. Once a seam is finished, move the piece immediately away from the machine and over to your ironing board. This comparison shows why pressing is required. The unpressed seam on the left is bulky, while the pressed seam on the right lays perfectly flat. The heat from the iron forces the thread to sink into the fabric fibers, locking the construction into place for a sharp, tailored appearance. With the edges crisp, mark out the spacing for the 3 required buttonholes along the front edge and sew them in. Finally, align your 3 buttons on the opposite panel and stitch them into place so they meet the finished buttonholes. The iron creates the sharp edges and flat seams that define a high-quality build. Without this step, even the most precise stitching looks amateur. Button up the finished vest, place it on a dress form or a hanger, and give the entire garment one final pass with steam. You have successfully transformed flat yardage and a digital file into a 3-dimensional, structured piece of clothing. You can continue building your wardrobe by checking the description for companion patterns, such as wide-leg pants or everyday dresses. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter for notifications whenever new designs are released or sales go live. Mastering these foundational steps gives you the permanent ability to dictate your own style and fit, replacing generic store-bought options with pieces you created yourself.